It starts with a suicide. Basically, it's a thing that supposedly always happens every so often, where a person will commit suicide and then pretty soon after that, a group of people will be caught in a confined space together and slowly they will die one by one until only one of them is left, and that last one is the devil. Now don't worry, obviously this isn't any sort of documentary, that doesn't really happen. It'd be really bad if it did. But basically, then you have the background story to Devil, which I bought on DVD because I read the back and it sounded alright. It was like a £5, so I thought, you know what, I'll just get this. The beginning starts out with a suicide. A man jumps off a tall building and lands on a truck. The truck then rolls down a hill and comes to rest in the middle of some busy road. And the first 10 minutes of the film is private investigators trying to work out where the suicide happened, even though that doesn't really have much to do with the film at all. Then these 5 people get trapped in a lift in a business building, and surely enough, slowly they start dying. Now this movie has nobody in it that I've heard of. None of the actors are famous. None of them, you will have never heard of any of them, basically. I don't think I recognise any of their names, but it's done by M. Night Shyamalan. He did Signs, which was alright. I was expecting better of this. The characters, you don't care about. They die. When they die, you're like, that person just died. I'm not really bothered by that at all. Because you don't care about the characters. You're not introduced to them for long enough that you go, oh man, he died. Oh, that's a shame. Also, I don't think it left long enough between the deaths, because one person would die, they'd be like, oh no, he's dead for 5 minutes, and then another person would die. Okay, it was a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but it didn't feel like there was enough of a gap to create real horror tension, to make it ominous enough. It just felt like they were just being picked off, which I guess is what was happening. But eventually they get down to the point where there are 2 of them left, and you need to decide which one of them you think is the devil. And they're all threatening to stab each other and stuff with bits of mirrors and things like that. But you don't care. I mean, there's a bit of your mind that's like, oh, I wonder who's the devil. You don't care. You don't need to find out. It's not going to offer anything to your life if you find out. Sorry, it's really cold. Even the twist at the end is really predictable. I was sitting there thinking, I bet this will happen, and then it did, and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of sucks. Then there was an extra maybe 15 minutes on the end. That part you don't care about, you don't pay any attention to that. The horror isn't that good, and overall I think I would give this film about 2.5, because the story is alright, the premise behind it is alright, the actors are shocking, M. Night Shyamalan is good, that is at best, he's good at best. You don't care about the characters, you don't really care what happens. The film's short as well, it's what, an hour and 17 minutes? Yeah, it's an hour and a quarter. They could have made the film so much better if they had filled another 45 minutes. They could have made it such a good film, but they didn't. And that's why I'm giving it a 2.5. You won't remember it after you've watched it necessarily 3 days later. You'll go, oh, what's this? Never seen this before. Watch it and you'll go, oh, right, yeah, that film. If you watch it and like it, that's fine. You've watched a good film. If you watch it and don't like it, it's only an hour and a quarter out of your life that you've just wasted. You don't have to go back to watch it again. If you don't watch it, you're not missing out on anything. It's alright, and you'll have a good time if you're watching it, I guess, but if you don't, there's no need to. And for that reason I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5, which is actually seeming quite generous now that I think about it, but it was alright. It was actually quite enjoyable. On a completely unrelated note, I discovered a YouTuber a couple of weeks ago who I thought I would recommend to you all. His name is Amazing Phil. A lot of you have probably already subscribed to him and already watched his videos and stuff, but he's a really, really good YouTuber. His stuff is funny and actually interesting, other than those of the YouTube stuff that you see around where they talk about boring crap. Just go to his channel, watch some of his videos. If you like them, and I expect you will, then click like, share his videos, subscribe to his channel, leave comments on stuff, because he's open to suggestions. He's just great. He and another YouTuber, Dan Is Not On Fire, who you should also subscribe to. They also do a radio show, which you should check out on BBC Radio 1. Yep, fluffy.